Welcome to 2025, another year for all of us. I know everyone is happy to make it to another year, and the first Orchestry Platform Live demo webinar of the year as well. So thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are going to talk about two of my favorite features. I say that about all of them, but I really do like these features. Orchestry health checks, and we're going to talk about recommendations. Now, again, as with the entire Orchestry platform, everything kind of works together seamlessly. So it's a little bit difficult to demonstrate and show you one feature at a time. But what we're going to do is talk about two of these features, newer features of Orchestry, fantastic capabilities that work together to help you understand what's going on in your tenant, help you proactively manage issues within your Microsoft 365 environment, and finally, really help you communicate some of the changes and some of the value that you might be getting not only from Orchestry, but from Microsoft 365 within your organization. So we have about 45 minutes today. It is going to be a fun field session. If you do have any questions as well, and you've never been to an Orchestry webinar or an Orchestry demo before, you know we like to ask lots of questions and be as social as possible. So again, feel free to chat within the chat interface through Teams here. I will be monitoring it as we go through the webinar, and we'll try to answer all of your fantastic questions. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Michael Basarik. I am one of the founders and the CEO and also the janitor here. Perform a multitude of roles here within the organization. Lots of experience within SharePoint and the Microsoft 365 space. I'm really passionate about helping customers such as yourself get real value out of Microsoft 365. We know that you've invested in the Microsoft platform. We obviously love Microsoft, the Microsoft 365. But as the product and the platform gets more complicated and more complex, it can be difficult just to keep up with all of the changes, let alone make sure that you're proactively getting value from the platform. And that's really my passion, and that's really the reason that we are here at Orchestry. If you have any questions, pre or post the webinar as well, feel free to reach out to me. All of the details here are below. Feel free to reach out to me on X. I think everyone still calls it Twitter, but apparently X is what it's called now, LinkedIn, and directly by email here. More than happy to help, even if it's random questions around Microsoft 365. If I can't answer it, we have an amazing team of people here that can. So a little bit about Orchestry. So we are a Microsoft 365 security, governance, and adoption platform. We really help you unleash that full potential of Microsoft 365. We have loads and loads of different capabilities that we have within the platform. It really is a comprehensive solution that sits on top of Microsoft 365. But really what we're trying to do is to help you get secure, get ready, and make sure, again, that you get value out of Microsoft 365. Now, if you're sitting in this demo, everyone's going to say that their product is awesome. That's just the way it is. So don't believe me, don't believe us. Go to various awards and various ratings that we've had. We're super proud to have a whole range of ratings, both from G2 and from Capterra. So again, feel free to reach out to those and see what other folks are saying about Orchestry. So why do we create Orchestry? Just really, really quickly, and what kind of challenges are we trying to solve? Now, we are really at heart Microsoft 365 users, Microsoft 365 administrators, consultants working in this space for a number of years. And like I said, we love Microsoft 365, but we also know there's a significant amount of challenges for organizations dealing with the platform. And what we've tried to do is take the ones that we hear, which are really common, regardless of the size of the organization, regardless of the industry that you're in, and even regardless of where you're in that journey with Microsoft 365, and make a seamless, beautiful solution for you that's going to help you really fill in the gaps a lot of the Microsoft 365 has. So one of the first one is really just trying to understand what's going on in Microsoft 365. As you know, if you're an admin, it's a pretty thankless, difficult job being a Microsoft 365 administrator. Lots of different admin centers, lots of things coming at you constantly, lots of changes, and really just understanding what's going on within Microsoft 365, whether it's around Teams or SharePoint or security, or even a little term that's been bandied around in the last few months, Copilot, it can be difficult to understand what's happening and based on that data, what decisions you need to make. So again, we can help you with those pieces as well. The other thing that we also hear from a lot of organizations is around governance, right? Lots of companies come to us here at Orchestry and they say the same thing. We've launched Microsoft 365, we've let people create whatever they want. We've come back 1, 2, 5 years later. We have lots of sprawl, lots of duplication of content. So how can we firstly kind of stop that to give our end users an experience where they can go and still request teams and SharePoint sites and everything else that they need, but put in some additional guardrails from a governance perspective, but also help me clean up a lot of the stuff that I already have from an archiving perspective and maybe from a historical compliance perspective as well. So again, that lack of governance is something that we hear constantly, time and time again. Implementing governance in Microsoft 365, it's possible. It is very, very difficult because, again, you have to look at all of these different pieces that Microsoft provides and put them together. With Orchestry, you can do that quickly, simply, and beautifully and get real value out of the platform straight away. The other thing that we hear a lot around, especially now, is around security and compliance concerns. As we know, security is a huge thing for lots of organizations. Security around your users, security around your content, security around your teams and your SharePoint sites, making sure that the right people have the right access at the right time. Again, difficult. Possible, of course, but difficult to do, especially if you're not a full-time admin and you don't have 40 hours to devote to this. And then the final thing is around Copilot and AI. We know a lot of you on the call here and most organizations are probably starting to dip your toes into AI in Microsoft 365. Maybe it's through Copilot for Microsoft 365. Maybe it's through agents. But ultimately, the success of any AI initiative, particularly if you're going to be using content to generate other content, which is a huge benefit and a huge use case for most organizations, means that your content has to be in a really great state, right? You have to have the correct permissions. You don't want to have outdated content and everything else. And there's all these other things that you also have to do to get ready for AI. So lots of confusion. Again, it can be really difficult, really costly, really time consuming. Again, we can help you with that as well. So really quickly, today we are going to cover two things. So we're going to talk about health checks and talk about our intelligent recommendations feature. Again, the first time we did one of these demo sessions, I tried to go through all of the features at once, and it was a terrible experience, both for myself, but also for the people listening, because it was me literally talking at 1,000 miles an hour, trying to go through all of these features. So now we're trying to break it up into a little bit more logical units. But rest assured, Orchestry has a lot of different capabilities, everything from the provisioning side to help you create a really rich, beautiful experience for your users to be able to request teams and SharePoint sites and groups and Viva Engage communities. But not only that, put those guardrails in that you need. Lots of reports as well to help you really understand your environment. We bring in all of this data from across Microsoft 365, all of these different admin centers, and present this beautiful interface to you that really helps you understand what's going on and drives you to make decisions and actions. And then lots of automations, whether it's in terms of archiving, whether it's in terms of automated guest reviews, whether it's in terms of workspace reviews, to make sure that maybe on a monthly or a quarterly basis that your owners know who has access to their teams and their SharePoint sites, what kind of shared links have been created and everything else. We have all of that here ready to go. But again, today we're going to cover two pieces. One, the health check feature, and two, the recommendations feature. And they kind of go together. So you hopefully see during the webinar why we've chosen these two features. Again, feel free to get engaged. Feel free to use the chat here. I can tell already by everyone on the call, you're going to be a chatty bunch of folks. Feel free to use this as free consulting as well. If you have any questions about Microsoft 365, again, feel free to put them in the chat or to introduce yourselves. Probably can do a pretty good job around answering any Microsoft 365 questions. Anything outside of that space, apart from cooking, probably not going to get the best answers. I would suggest ChatGPT, but I will see what I can do. All right. So let's get rocking and rolling here. Let's talk a little bit about the first feature which we want to talk about, a capability of Orchestry called Orchestry Health Check. So what exactly is a health check? When we spoke to customers, one of the things we heard is, we really want to take a snapshot in time kind of blueprint or a snapshot in time idea of what's happening within our Microsoft 365 tenant, right? We want to understand at a certain point in time where we are in terms of a storage perspective, in terms of a permissions perspective around shared links, in terms of things like sharing, in terms of our secure score and everything else. We want to have a really simple way to be able to see all of that most important information in one space. And in addition to that, we also heard the ability that, well, if we have this kind of experience where we can see this, we want to be able to communicate that out to the rest of the organization. But the biggest thing that we also want to do, and the most important thing, is not only do we want to see a snapshot at this point in time, but we also want to understand how this has changed over a period of time. Are we growing storage or is it being reduced? Do we have more workspaces created this month versus last month, or this year versus last year, for example? Because it's really the changes in your environment which allow you to make decisions. And out of the box, as you know, in Microsoft 365, that's really difficult to do. Out of the box, you'll get point in time snapshots of data, but how do we then compare that data over time to allow you to make better decisions? And that's exactly what a health check does. A health check can be created whenever you want. You go into Orchestry, create one of these. We have this beautiful interface, and we'll go into a demo in just a second here. We can show you all of the pertinent information you need about Microsoft 365. Workspaces, teams, groups, security score, stuff from Azure, stuff from security, stuff around permissions, shared links, and everything else allow you to create one of these pieces. We also allow you to do things like annotate, because one of the other things we know is, well, if I want to communicate this to someone, I can send them this dashboard, but without adding additional context or comments, it's kind of useless, right? So again, we can go and we can annotate these pieces as well through here. We can add our own comments as well through here as well. So a really great way, if maybe you're an IT team, you generate a snapshot once a month, you can all collaborate and configure and say, hey, here's our snapshot for this particular month. This is what's worked well. This is what hasn't worked well. And this is what we want to do. If you're a Microsoft partner, an even better story. Imagine if you're a partner and you can go in and you can automatically generate one of these health checks on behalf of a customer, maybe on a monthly or a quarterly basis, and then guide them through the process of understanding the health check and then providing your recommendations or your advice around that as well. And the nice thing about the health checks, it's not just web only. You can export it to PDF. Tremendous. Send it around to people. Here's what we've found. Here's what's working well. Here's what isn't working well as well through here. So that's the first feature we're going to go through. The other feature that we're going to go through, because they tie in together so nicely, is around our recommendations engine. And again, this is one of the features that I love the most. This is our intelligent kind of fabric that is looking in your environment and helping you understand not only what issues you might want to solve, but what's the most important, why should you do this now, and guide you through the process of making this happen. And again, the reason that we built this is, again, in Microsoft 365, there's so much to do all of the time. How do you as an organization or an admin know what you should concentrate on? Well, recommendations is going to help you do that. We have lots of different recommendations around multiple products in Microsoft 365, around various categories. And this becomes, if you're an admin, that starting point to your day. Coming in, looking at the recommendations, seeing what you have to fix, seeing what you have to change. And of course, we're not just going to tell you what's wrong. Orchestry is even going to recommend what you should do and even automate and do it for you, which is great as well. And again, lots of capabilities around recommendations based on our data gathering engine. We're going to guide you through the rationale and remediation. We're always constantly adding new recommendations. We've added a bunch around Copilot readiness, for instance, which we'll talk about. And courtesy of Copilot, it also says it offers an exceptional user experience. That was directly from Copilot. Okay, enough talking. Let us jump into a demo here, because it is a demo session. And the last thing we want to do is spend all demos talking about slides, because like me, you have probably been burnt where you've gone to these demos and it's just some person slides all the time. We're not going to do that. All right. So first of all, you've probably seen this before. This is Teams. This is Orchestry. Orchestry, again, has a bunch of capabilities. It's exposed to our end users as a Microsoft 365 app here, but they can go, they can provision, they can find various workspaces that they might need. For example, they can see various tasks that have been assigned to them. So here we've actually got a review of the health check required or an archival. But what we're going to go to is the backend, because what we really want to do is take on the role as an administrator today and look at our two new features or two capabilities within Orchestry. So the first feature we want to look at is what's called our Orchestry Health Check feature. So as I mentioned, the idea with this feature and this capability is to create a snapshot in time overview of your Microsoft 365 tenant. And what you can do is you can go in, click new, right? Go and click a health check here. We can give it a bit of a name. You can even choose how many days you want this to happen. So this is really great. We know that a lot of IT teams and a lot of organizations, you probably have monthly meetings to understand trends around storage and around usage and everything else. You can do this as well. You can even do a custom date range as well through here. So let's say I want to go through, I don't know, these particular dates, right? We can do that for you as well. So really quick and really, really easy through here as well. The other thing that you can also do to make it even easier, because I know what you're thinking, is like, this is great, but I don't have time to go in and create these things manually. It doesn't make any sense. You don't have to. We can even generate it automatically for you, which is amazing. So again, you can even have a regular scheduled cadence. So automatically, this is going to happen for you. Really powerful, really simple. Lots of other capabilities through here. You can even have a review process that happens, which is really powerful. So a health check is going to be generated. Then maybe it goes to the internal IT team here with Diego, Michael, and Adele here. What happens then is they can review, they can add their comments, they can add any annotations through here, and then maybe they can send it out to their executive team or to their team owners or to the rest of the organization. If you're a Microsoft partner, the story is just as compelling, because we know a lot of partners are doing these sort of managed services types of activities where you're doing this manually, you're running PowerShell scripts and everything else. Orchestry is going to do all of this beautifully and simply for you. And again, you can put yourself down as the reviewer. So as a partner, I can go in, make these health checks be generated automatically. And as part of my monthly service, I've got this amazing experience that I'll create a health check. It gets sent to me. I can add all my annotations and I can see what's going on. So let's go and look at one that we've created before. So what does a health check look like? Now, if you've ever seen any previous kind of health checks, you know, they're pretty ugly and pretty kind of silly. We at Orchestry want to make things beautiful, engaging to you as well. So this is what a health check looks like. This is one of our demo ones with some data. I'm going to go down here so you can kind of see what's going on, but lots of information through here. The first thing is, because this is an Orchestry customer, lots of information about the value and the activities that Orchestry is doing, whether it's around provisioning or archivals or managing guests or saving storage, for instance, or notifications. Going down here, we can see tons of information, again, across multiple areas within Microsoft 365 that we're bringing together. No need to go to different admin centers. No need to write PowerShell scripts and all of that sort of stuff. We're going to show all of that for you. The growth of our workspaces, you can see on a timeline how many workspaces were kind of created, even on a day-by-day basis, right? So what happened here? We probably did a whole bunch of purging. That's great, right? We're doing some cleanup through here. Full inventory to help you understand what your estate looks like. How many teams, how many private channels, how many SharePoint sites, not only just team sites and communication sites, but even classic sites. How many of you are engaged communities, how many OneDrive spaces you actually have. Other types of information we're bringing in, your workspace inactivity. Again, you want this to go down over time. If not, you can archive the content. We can help you with that as well. How many guest accounts do you have? What your secure score looks like. Really important from a security perspective. From a sharing perspective, really vital, again, from that security story, and really, really vital from a Copilot readiness perspective, understanding how many anonymous, organizational, external, and shared links have been created. all of your information about storage as well. I mean, look at this. It's all here for you. You don't need to go anywhere else. Your tenant storage, your OneDrive storage, your Exchange storage, your SharePoint storage. It's all here, my friends. And in addition to that, even Teams engagement. So not just from the point of storage and everything else, but engagement, right? How many users did you have at peak? How many channel messages are people sending? How many chat messages, reactions, and mentions? And then a really nice area that I really like, which is our leaderboard. So this is really interesting because this kind of shows you those workspaces which have changed considerably over that time period. What's grown the most in the last 30 days? What's had the most files added? Who's had the most conversations? Which one has the most members? So again, it gives you more of an idea of those changes. And of course, our recommendations piece, which I'll talk about as well. So we're also saying, based on this information that we have through here, Orchestry is going to take all of this, synthesize it for you, and give you a series of recommendations around this as well. And then finally, some time savings. So again, what's really great, if you're an Orchestry customer or an IT team, easy to get Orchestry funding now or in the next year, because we're going to show you exactly how many hours we've saved, right, during that time in terms of actioning recommendations or maintaining templates or managing guests, all of the great things that we do. Now, I know what you folks are thinking. Some of you technical folks are like, this is great, but I can do this with PowerShell because I have all the expertise and time in the world. I've got nothing else to do. But I want to point out one thing that makes this very, very different and very, very powerful. The difference with this is not only are we showing you the information over time, but we're also showing you those changes over time, right? Now, if you were going to do that by yourself with PowerShell, essentially you would have to go run PowerShell every single day, store that data somewhere. Then once you run one of these, synthesize that data, look at the changes, do all of those calculations. It doesn't make any sense. We can do all of that for you. And the great thing about this, it's really, the information is really useful around this. But what's more useful is understanding those trends and how they've changed over time. So if I look at this, like this isn't great, for instance, right? That we've got so much data coming through here. Again, that I can see how many shared links have been created. We see here that the previous 180 days, we've actually created 19% more than 30 days ago, right? So we can see these trends going over time. So really powerful way to help you understand your environment. So once I've created one of these, this is great. But the other thing is I can also annotate this as well. So again, you can use this as a way to help you understand what's going on. So I'm going to click on edit this particular health check here. And now I can look at this and I'm like, well, like we talked about, this storage is kind of getting out of control. Looks like we've added 100 terabytes here in the last few days. I can click on annotations here and I can go add my own annotation. So we have added 100 terabytes in the last 30 days. We need to talk because 100 terabytes every 30 days, not good. Folks, not good at all. So we're going to click on save, right? And this is all going to be saved now. And this annotation is saved now. And it's here. This is me. I am Archie, right? I can go and do this. So now you can add all of these annotations through here as well. Annotations are great, but the other thing as well, what happens if there's things that I want to do? How do I assign tasks through here as well? Well, we're going to talk about this in a second, but our recommendations engine, which gives you these recommendations, also allows you to add your own custom recommendations. So I can go in here and say, let's go revise storage strategy here. We are burning through storage. And as you've ever been on a webinar before, I cannot type during webinars. We are burning through storage. We need to discuss through here. Recommended action. Let's leave that for now. Category, we're going to say this is urgent because 100 terabytes every 30 days is urgent. Storage, and this relates to SharePoint storage. OneDrive wasn't looking good either as well. Click on add. Right. Oh, I need to put a recommendation action. So let's schedule a meeting. Perfect. Click on add. Right. So again, now you have this really beautiful kind of way that you've got now your context in your health check through the annotations. And now you've also got tasks. This is good. I'm going to click on stop editing. I can share this out to people here as well through here. I'll get a beautiful notification and away we go. Now, you can create as many health checks as you want. You can download these as well. So I'm going to download this, and look, beautiful PDF gets generated, complete with my annotations and my comments as well through here. Make it's a little bit bigger. Look how beautiful this is. See, all of the annotations through here and who they are, the recommendations, the additions, all of this sort of stuff, right? Really, really powerful, really, really useful as well through here. So again, super simple, super easy. So we've got some questions. Let me go through here. Is there a complete list of what data points are covered in the health check? We do have that available. There's a lot, Brad. There is a lot of them, but Orchestry gathers close to 300 different data points across all of the stuff that we have. We expose some of these data points through health checks, but we're not going to go into this today. But we've also got a ton of different reports here as well, if we go into it, that have more information and more data that you can see as well. Everything from activity to content to permissions and everything else. But we've got a bunch of these here as well. How do you receive a health check? Great question. So if I'm someone who is pending a review, I'll get this through either an email or through the Orchestry UI. So I can come into here and say, I'm interested in a health check, click on apply, right? I can see that here's one of the health checks that I have to go and review. I can click on view task. And again, I can now see that this is the health check that was recently created. And I can do this all throughout Teams. It's all there, all simple, all easy for me. I'll also get an email as well through here. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. So health checks, fantastic way. Set it up in Orchestry. If you want to get started on a trial, the best thing is we put in Orchestry, we will automatically generate one of these health checks on a trial as well. So again, you can see where you are. And at the end of your 28 days, we can run another one and we'll show you all of the benefits that you get through here as well. If you're an IT team, having this being able to be created on a monthly basis can really help you drive decisions, really help you drive to action around your Microsoft 365 tenant. And then finally, if you're a partner, imagine this. This is a managed service here ready for you, right? Automatically create these health checks on behalf of your customers. Then you can go in and essentially help them through that process. And again, it's going to be a great way for you to help your customers understand their environment, but also help you drive some additional services for them as well. So I've talked a little bit about health checks. The other thing we kind of talked about is about recommendations. And if we go to these health checks here, we saw down the bottom here, we have some recommendations. So what exactly is this? So let's go and click on recommendations here as well. So again, this is another really powerful feature of Orchestry. Again, these things are all kind of linked together. We want these features and capabilities of Orchestry to be linked together so you get the most value out of them. The best way to think about recommendations is this intelligent kind of brain that's going to look at your Microsoft 365 environment, look at the data that you have, and almost like a consultant or like some form of powerful godlike AI, it's going to recommend things that you should do. Now, there's general things we know that everyone should do in Microsoft 365. Like these are all the basics. But after you've been up and running Microsoft 365 for a while, you've got these basics at least a little bit sorted. What we want here is to provide you with some recommendations that aren't easy to get out of the box or simply not possible without having to do custom scripting and custom coding as well. So when I look into the recommendations engine here, let's say I'm an admin, I can see I have a list of recommendations through here. I can also see the urgency. So again, you're probably pretty busy, just like I am. I can filter on these, really beautiful experience. We're going to categorize these recommendations by urgency. So, your secure score is lower than that of typical organizations. That's not a good thing. You've got a setting on your tenant that guests can share items that they don't own. That's not a good thing. And if you remember, here's the recommendation we just put in previously from our health check, right? Hey, we're burning through storage. We need to discuss this. And that's useful as well. So for these recommendations, again, I can view them by priority, which is great. We have lots of different recommendations. I think we've got about 60 at the moment, and we're going to have more in the works. But you've got your urgent ones, you've got your important ones, and then you've also got your best practice ones, right? These are things that we know are best practices within Microsoft 365 that are really going to help you get the most value out of your organization. So something like you've got workspaces with subsites, or you don't have group self-service enabled, or maybe you've got a bunch of teams that don't have any content in here as well, right? That's not a great thing. Again, you can go through these. The nice things with these recommendations as well is they're tailored to you. We're not just giving everyone the same recommendation, and you can tailor these. For instance, some of these you might not really necessarily care about. So for instance, let's say we have a high number of unique domains here. So this is a really interesting recommendation. Again, this is not something you're going to get out of the box. You almost need a consultant or someone with really strong experience in Microsoft 365 to do this. But again, Orchestry is going to do this for you. So for this recommendation, so listen, you've got a high number of unique domains compared to your guests, right? Now we'll show you all the different domains that are here, but for every recommendation, I can view the details. So I can see exactly what that recommended action is. We also tell you why you care as well. This is actually written by human beings, by all the smart people here at Orchestry, looking at the data and looking at the challenges across our hundreds of customers. If I want to know, well, which exact domains, I can click onto here, and we'll even go to that report here to give you more insight. So we've got 83 domains through here. We can see we've got a bunch of people from Orchestry, from Live. We've got some people from Gmail, from blah.com. You don't want anyone from blah.com. No one does, right? Doesn't make any sense. Now, you probably don't even know there's someone from blah.com. We're going to show that for you as well. But again, through all of these recommendations, we're going to show you the details. We're going to view the Orchestry report. I can go in and again, clean this up and mark this as resolved, but I can also customize this. So you might not care about these high domains. You're like, well, this isn't really an issue for us. I don't want to see this coming up all the time. Easy, just snooze it, right? Let's review this in 6 months, right? Really simple, powerful way to be able to go and customize this through here as well. Some other things, again, from what types of recommendations do we have? So we give you various categories. You might be interested around recommendations around sprawl, for instance, right? So how do I reduce the sprawl within our environment? And again, lots of intelligent stuff that we have here. We've got a bunch of workspaces that have been inactive, right? So they should be archived. You've got a bunch of teams or SharePoint sites with a single owner or member. You got a bunch of people with no members. This isn't great. You've got a bunch of workspaces that have never been used. We see this all the time. I'm sure you see it as well. People going in, creating teams, creating SharePoint sites, never using it, right? And then it just sits there forever and ever, right? Taking up storage, confusing people from an information architecture perspective. Again, it's something that you might want to clean this up through here. But think of this almost like your intelligent assistant through here, right? Again, whatever you're interested in, whatever challenges you have, we're trying to take all of this information and take all of this data and guide you through this process. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is great. I want to reduce sprawl. I want to increase security, and I want better governance. So I'm going to go through this. But ultimately, maybe I just want to target a particular product. Or maybe I even want to get ready for something like Copilot. Don't worry, we have you sorted as well. So not only can I view by priority and by category, I can also view by product. So if I'm only interested, let's say, for the recommendations around Azure AD or Entra ID or whatever Microsoft is going to call it whenever they seem to change the names, again, here's all of the ones. And you can see these ones are around users. We've got a bunch of guests in here. We've got a bunch of inactive guests. We've got a bunch of workspaces with unredeemed guests through here. But the big thing, I know what you're all here for, is around Copilot. Imagine if you want to get ready for Copilot, I just select Copilot, click on Apply, and look at this. These are all the things that you need to do specific to your tenant to get ready for Copilot. This is not a generic assessment, and we've seen these assessments everywhere else. It's some generic assessment that people run, and you have to put in a bunch of questions. It's all nonsense, right? This is real recommendations based on your data, based on the intelligence that we've seen across hundreds of different customers. This is how you get ready for Copilot. And for each one of these recommendations, again, we're going to show you recommendations around maybe default tenant links. We're going to show you recommendations around security and oversharing related to Copilot through here. We're going to help you guide you through the process of which workspaces are candidates maybe for archival, because we've got a bunch of workspaces here. So let's actually view the Orchestry report here. So what's this one? So we've got a bunch of workspace. Why should I care? Carrying old and inactive content over the long term can significantly impact your overall environment's health. That's right, right? You're paying on storage. Maybe you've got a bunch of content that you don't need. It's going to clutter up all of your Gen AI efforts. So I can click on View Orchestry Report. I'm going to go in here and I can see all of these archival candidates as well through here, right? Super powerful. And from here, not only can I see the name of them, I can see how many days inactive there are, how many owners, how many members, how many documents there are. And again, with Orchestry, we are not just showing you what you need to do and say, well, go at it, and you need to do it manually. I can quickly go in, I can assign a policy, I can add a policy through here, right? And I can go and clean this up with a few clicks, right? Very, very powerful to be able to do that at scale as well through here. Okay, let's go back here as well through here. Now, this is great, right? But also, unfortunately, there's a bunch of recommendations that we don't have for you. Now, I know that seems shocking during a product demo, but we try to be pretty honest. So there's even some recommendations that we're working on that we haven't launched yet. And if you're a Microsoft partner, or even if you're a customer, you're probably thinking, well, this recommendations engine is kind of more than that. It's this task list, right? It's the list of things that we should do. Wouldn't it be great if I can add my own recommendations and we can view this as the way for my entire team to manage our Microsoft 365 environment better? Well, we can do that. So you can add your own recommendations, which is amazing. So if I click on add here, again, you can add your own custom recommendation. Now, if you notice, this was the same process that we used before through the health check. It's the same thing. I can put in a name, I can put in a description, I can put in a recommended action, priority, category, product, all of that good stuff. And now you have the power. Let me go back here. Now you have the power to see Orchestry created recommendations. So here's all the one that we are automatically creating for you, or your own custom recommendations, which is awesome, right? Because again, now we can do things like the most important thing in the world is make SharePoint look pretty, right? That's something that everyone wants to do. Unfortunately, we don't have enough AI intelligence to tell you that your SharePoint isn't pretty, but you can now add this on as your own custom recommendation through here. So really what this becomes is this task list of activities, intelligent from Orchestry, customized to you by your own, and it allows you as an admin to not spend time looking everywhere, but really to streamline your approach in better managing your Microsoft 365 tenant. Couple of questions here. I know we've gone through a lot here. Couple of questions. Is Orchestry working on new health checks and recommendations? Any that we can share? Thank you, John. There is. So there's a couple of recommendations we are going to be working around, particularly around, let me just clear this out, a lot around security. So one of the big areas of focus for Orchestry for Q1 and Q2 is creating the best permissions and security reporting that you've ever seen. We know this has been a challenge for years. If you've ever worked in SharePoint, as most of you've had, it's so problematic to understand who has access to what, and broken permissions versus shared links, people sharing stuff through a SharePoint group versus something else. Really, really difficult as well. So what we're going to be doing is creating a whole security permissions reporting piece. And as part of that is also going to be, particularly around sharing links, a whole range of recommendations around sharing links, right? So that ability for you to go in and say, hey, recommendations are saying there's been 27 workspaces which have had 3,500 sharing links created over the last 30 days. Go in and maybe use our workspace review functionality to go and review those, or even as an admin, go in, be able to see those shared links and be able to clear them up as well. The other types of health checks in particular that we are looking at, probably the next one, and we haven't settled on this yet, is really going to be a very, very comprehensive oversharing health check and or a Copilot readiness health check as well. We have all of the data for the Copilot pieces. We're going to make the best Copilot recommendation health check for you. So you can put it into your environment, and we're going to show you exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it, and really bring all of the power of the Orchestry platform together, whether it's from understanding guests and usage, whether it's our insight reports, whether it's this intelligent recommendation piece. We want to have like a single dashboard for you that you know exactly what you need to do to get ready for Copilot. And again, the nice thing with the health check is you can run that Copilot readiness assessment or that Copilot health check over time. So you'll be able to see your kind of Copilot score or those tasks that you need to do go up or down over time. So it's really going to help you get ready for that as well. So look for that probably Q2-ish. We want to get the permissions piece out first because we know that's a huge, huge challenge for lots of organizations as well. But thank you, Clifford, for your question. All right, I know we've gone through a lot. Let us go back here to the slides and finish this up here, good folks. Let me click on resume here. Yeah, so we've talked about recommendations. We've talked about, again, some of the benefits through here, again, with recommendations. Intelligently prioritized and proactive. Again, we say rationalize and explained for every single recommendation. We're not just going to say, here's what you should do. We're going to say why you should do it, what's the impact, and what's that backing data for you as well, right? So you understand. So if you have to go and tell someone we're doing this and they're like, why are you doing it? You don't just say, well, we're doing it because this tool told us to. There's just one line. We'll link you to articles. We'll link you to documentation. We'll help you understand what it is as well through here. Okay, we did get a couple of questions before the webinar, which we'll quickly go through here. A couple of questions. How often can health checks be generated? Can it be every day? It can be every day. You can go health check city. Probably not the best approach, to be honest with you. It's really meant to kind of take a snapshot of information over time and allow you to view and make decisions over time. So again, typically, we see most organizations are on a 30-day cadence, but it's a really great way that every 30 days, it's almost like the stopgap of, okay, let's stop, take a breath, see where we are, see what's changed, and then let's make decisions from that as well. A couple of other questions. What's the craziest number you've seen in a health check? We get this a lot because all of our customers and partners are always shocked when we do these health checks. I would say the most interesting number that we are seeing, apart from people creating shared links all over the place, which is a nightmare, is the lack of usage of Teams channel conversations versus chats. So what we find in a lot of these organizations is there might be 2,000 Teams channel messages and there might be 2 million internal chats. And what that means is that for a lot of organizations, people are chatting in the one-to-one chat a lot, but really what you want that information to be moved over to Teams channels, right? Teams channels is a much better way from the perspective of being able to surface that information to people and secure it. But I think a couple of weeks ago, we saw one client and they had like 20 Teams channel conversations versus 3.5 million Teams chats, right? So that ratio was completely off as well. And the last one is around, can we use health checks to get us ready for Copilot? Of course, right? Hopefully you saw a little bit of that combination of using the health check, understanding where you are, using the recommendations, making decisions, getting Orchestry to automate that whole process throughout that Copilot journey is all available there. All right, couple minutes left. Firstly, how do you get my hands on this tool? We're ready to go. Full trial is ready to go. If you want to understand your environment, if you want to run a health check, even if you just want to put in Orchestry in your environment, generate a health check, PDF it up and send it to someone and say, good God, why is our environment in such a mess? we are here for you. So we have full 28-day trials available. Again, these are fully functional trials. You get all of the capabilities of Orchestry through here as well. We can also help you through what's called a managed evaluation process if you're a slightly larger customer as well. But again, we want to make sure you get the most value out of the product. So if you're interested in that trial, and just do it. It's really easy to set up, takes 15 minutes. If you don't like it, you just uninstall Orchestry later on. No harm, no foul. But trust me, you are going to love it. Feel free to get in touch with us through the website. Just click on Get a Demo. We'll get one of our amazing sales folks to reach out to you, and you'll be ready to go. So, first of all, thank you, everyone. Happy 2025. Big year ahead. Stay tuned to Orchestry. Lots of new and amazing features coming up to help you with Microsoft 365. And again, join us for the next webinar around another really powerful capability of the Orchestry platform. But thank you all again for joining me.